With that, I want to transition us
Mhm.
into this review. So, have you got the Mike D's barbecue site up?
I do. I
All right.
do.
So
Yeah,
I'm
this
about to
is.
switch it over, transition. So now the people who are watching the live stream, including Mike, he said he was driving, but he was gonna pull it up when he got home. So hopefully he's made it home and he's able to actually see the review that we've gotten. If not, he'll be able to come back and watch the video later. So yeah, take it over. Talk to us
Ooh.
about the setup here with Mike's site. What's he got going good? What can he improve? Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to congratulate you on, Mike, is that you're doing a great job by having the products front and center. They are on the homepage of the website, they are at the top. So if people already know your brand and what you're known for, and they don't want a whole bunch of noise, they can go directly to the rubs, they can go directly to the sauce, and they don't have to think about it. So that is great. And also, your product photography is really good. It's definitely really clear, especially when you think about, your branding, even the labels. Like, I can glance at this and tell that it's for barbecue without even having any words on the label. So, just glancing at it, it definitely resonates, like, okay, this is a barbecue brand, and this looks legit. So having the products front and center on the website, having that really good product photography. Again, the products themselves do have a lot of white space around them, which is good, so I can glance and say, okay, there's some sets here, there's some sauces, there are rubs, and scrolling down, there's some great pictures of the brand at shows, sponsoring things. I see a link to the Instagram gallery. That's always good to show that they have an active online presence, which is good, because you want to make sure that a lot of times people are hesitant because they don't know when the website was touched, like when the website was updated. Like, is Mike a current brand, or did he just abandon this a couple of years ago? But the Mike D's barbecue, it's alive and well, because the Instagram feed is right there, and you can say, okay, this last post wasn't that long ago. So that's all really good. As far as areas of concern, the first thing I would say is there are a lot of choices here on the home page. And if you're not a huge barbecue fan, if you're a casual cook or a casual, consumer, you would say, okay, there's the all purpose rub, there's the all purpose rub master. Like, there are a lot of choices here. So I would say maybe on the homepage, you could focus on just two or three of your best sellers. It's great, from an e-commerce perspective, to put things in sets. People like sets, they like bundles. It's a great way to increase how much they're spending, as well as, expose them to more of your products. And as a consumer, I personally like buying things in sets and bundles. So that's great. But so I would just maybe highlight your best sellers, or you can group them into categories. So I see the all purpose rub, for example. I see at least three listings, maybe four. And so coming in, if I know I'm here to buy a rub, there's, several pictures that have rub in it. So just trying to decide between all of those might be overwhelming for, a casual consumer. But if most of the people that buy online have, seen your brand in action, have tasted your brand, then that's one barrier that's already broken down. But for, someone that's completely new to your buying experience, they may look at, all of these rubs and sauces and say, yeah, I don't know which one to choose. Do I want the, spicy one? Do I just want sauce? Am I more of a mild person? I kind of want everything. So I think not only narrowing down the choices, but also grouping them in categories, or just putting a description at the top of each one, for the person who likes a little heat, or this collection is great for everything. So grouping them together really answers questions that people might have when they first land on your page. Thinking about the products themselves, I just clicked on the sauce starter set.
Okay.
And again, I see some reviews here, so that's good. Reviews are always great. And I see a couple of things. One, you're using a lot of good keywords in your product description, so that's good. You want people to be able to find you, to find your brand, and to know exactly how to use your product. You don't want them to say, okay, I bought this sauce, but I don't know what to put it on. So that's good. The add to cart button is right where it's supposed to be. It's big and red, nice and colorful, so people know exactly what to do. And then it's great that I see there are pictures along with your product review, which is really good. So again, that gives me social proof. Like this person, Cheryl Ford, she definitely bought it. She definitely used it. And it looks like she's really, really happy with it. So again, that gives me confidence. And to see the sauce on some food, I think that's a big one. Looking at, the bottles and the, containers of seasoning is one thing, but seeing it on actual food, to get that mouth-watering effect is another. So I would say that could be another opportunity for improvement. Just showing more pictures of your sauce in action, more pictures of your rub in action. That's always good. But yeah, no, overall, it looks, like a great site. I'm just navigating through the process, adding it to cart. And, this is the Shopify platform. So it's actually, really intuitive, which is why I'm a proponent of Shopify in general versus, other platforms. And so just looking at the checkout, it's great that you have, PayPal enabled, you have Google Pay. Those are always good because, again, you're really getting rid of any barriers to checkout. I see that you have the shipping estimate there. That's always good because people do want to know how much shipping will cost, before they even reach the shipping and billing pages themselves. So that's good. So going back to the homepage itself, I see that you have a really simple menu, which is good. Just being able to know exactly what tab means what is a really positive experience for consumers by saying, okay, about us, got it. And it's important to have the about us page. Not a lot of businesses focus on that, but people want to know who they're buying from. So the fact that you're sharing your story on the website and, with a picture of yourself and the product, that's perfect. The shopping, retailers, that's a good one. Press and media mentions, that's great. I see that you have a blog started. Awards, which is good because I know that the barbecue field, like that's a big deal. The fact that this is award-winning sauces and rubs, that's a big deal. So congratulations to that. And then recipes, that was actually a suggestion I had, but I see you already have it up here. So if you could add some more recipes, that would always be good. Of course, you don't want to give away your magic, but adding some more recipes, fleshing that out would be good. But I mean, all in all, I think you've accomplished your goal of, making it as simple as possible for people to check out and get more of your product in their hands and, in their bellies. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are only a couple of opportunities for improvement, but all in all, this is definitely a clear, concise, good example of how it's done.
Love it, love it. Well, so we didn't get a second e-commerce business, but what I would ask, if I'm going to be a little bit brave, all right, and we're going to skip my shop page, but would you mind taking a look at a content website? Because you said, if your intent is to deliver content, it's a little different from e-commerce. So would you mind giving a quick walkthrough of the Buy Black podcast website and tell me what you think about that and what I can definitely improve, because I'm always wanting to make it easier for people to find the content that I have. And one of the biggest problems I have is that I've got resources on this website that I believe our community really needs, and I have a hard time getting people to them, I think. Um, and I feel like I bury the lead, but since I'm not the expert and I'm just using conjecture, how about I just hand it over to you? Do you have my site up?
I sure do.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm
This
going
it is.
to transition over. All right, so everybody's looking at my home page now.
So the first thing that I really like is the menu on the left hand side. That just says, what do you want to do? And I like that it's bold, that the options are listed there, and they're, pretty self explanatory. Um, so, I mean, that kudos to that, because that's where my eye is drawn first, again, because people read left to right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just looking at the site itself, I'm just doing some scrolling here. There are a lot of action items that you see, like first and foremost. So it might be confusing on where to go first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's a lot, like you said, you have a lot of content, you have a lot of resources, you have the podcast itself, you have those article. I mean, there's a lot, which is good. I think part of it is maybe just the organization, because
Okay.
again, because people left to right, so my eyes are drawn to the what do you want to do menu on the left. Then I'm seeing this awesome picture in the center. But then on the right, I'm like, hey, there's some other things to do. So maybe I want to do that stuff instead. And then also there's the let's see, there's the menu at the top right. So there's a lot going on. Say, wait a minute. At first, I wanted to start a business, but now I'm looking at merchandise. So for people that, aren't necessarily disciplined when it comes to browsing the site, because you have so much to offer, I think there has to be a way to reel that in a bit.
Okay.
And I think you're doing a great job with the menu on the left hand side as far as where to start. So maybe not offering a sample of everything
Okay.
on the home page
So maybe
will
the
help
homepage
you
I turn it
reel
into
it in.
kind of a landing page.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say turn it into a landing page. And then, I mean, you do have great visuals here, though, so that's good. Um, I guess just giving them a taste instead of the whole buffet
Mm-hmm.
is how I would think of it.
Okay.
And then another thing that I'm looking at the bottom of the homepage now, it's interesting because some content is, traditional left to right, but then some content is in columns. And so for a person casually browsing the site, people are lazy. Like I probably should have opened up with that. But, reading left to right and then switching to say, oh, wait, we're in columns now. I see some bullet points going on. That's jarring to a casual reader.
Hmm.
So as far as different ways to organize the information, I would eliminate some of these frames and columns and make sure that everything flows into one another a bit better.
Okay. I like it. Don't pay attention to all the different colors of hats.
I was about to say, look at all the okay. There's a lot going on here, but okay.
Yeah, there's too
Um,
much.
yeah, no, no, no. I think that this is something that um could just be streamlined a bit. If you have um items that sell better than others, if you have items that you're more proud of than others, then highlight those. Rather than three hats and one tee on the homepage, I would mix it up a bit. Like if you have short sleeve tees, long sleeve tees, hats, and other merchandise you have, I would switch it up. Because right now, just glancing at your merchandise, I would just think that the majority is hats, and that might not be the case. Yeah,
Right.
just browse through it, put more of a variety on the homepage.
Okie doke.
And I mean, there are ways to do that, manually. I know that a lot of e-commerce platforms just, listed in the order that you added it to the store,
That's
in
what
the order
Printful
that you
did.
created
Yep.
the item. Yeah, yeah. And so, to switch that up, you just have to rearrange things manually. And that's something, even with, my goodness, every collection page on my website, I had to do to rearrange things manually. So I know that my bestsellers are at the top, and also so that they make sense with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, people can think about that, thinking about even like the image sizes and the file sizes, making sure that they flow into one another. That's something that I took time to do, um, because it's all in the details, honestly. Um, Another thing that I would focus on, I like the use of white space, so that's always good. We talked about simple is good. Um, is As far as branding goes, if I had to guess, I would say your primary colors are black, white, and green. Is that correct?
Uh, no. So it's actually black, white, and yellow. Kind of like a goldish
Mm,
yellow. I chose green on
okay.
the sign up button because I wanted it to stand out from the other colors, but I should probably make that align a little bit better with my color scheme.
Well, the reason I guess green is because I see the green sign me up button, and then I see the last podcast graphic, which also has a green background.
Ah,
And so, again, if I had to guess, that would be one of the things that you might want to reconsider. And also, I see a lot of different fonts used, and that, I mean, I understand that you switch it up for emphasis sometimes, and I
mm-hmm.
get that, but I would not have any more than, honestly, two or three tops. Um, and if they are, that different, I wouldn't necessarily have them so close together.
Okay.
And so, see, that wasn't that bad. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, there's a ton of great information here. I think it's just designing it so people can take advantage of what you've already done and what you've already put out there.
Right. Okay, awesome. So, one more question, and we don't have to click through any other pages, but looking at my menu, so I've got like six options under the
Mhm.
about, and I've got like seven options under the podcast. Is there a better way to do that, or should I scale down the number of options that drop down on the menu? What are some things that you found with people and the way they interact with a menu?
Um, Again, simplicity wins. If it's the more simple, the better. I think that it's one thing that I like about the menu on the left hand side is that it's all action,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's a theme to you. Whereas looking at the about menu, um, it tells about your story, and then, segues to your guests. Then it's like, hey, check us out on Instagram. Hey, check out our press, check out our media, then contact us. Technically, yes, those are all ways to learn more about you and get in contact with you, but that doesn't mean that they all have to be listed there.
Got it.
Um, and the same thing for the podcast menu. I would, streamline it. Yeah, I would definitely streamline it a bit. Obviously, you want to keep listen, because that's what people think of first when they go to a podcast menu. Um, but then the last three options I would keep. but maybe nothing else. I mean, because if they're already listening, the subscribe option should be there, right?
Right.
Like if
Yep.
I'm not
Absolutely.
mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
subscribe all over the
You
place
don't
on
want
this
to
thing.
make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
And yeah, I see the subscribe button at the top is purple, so you have another color in play. So
Yeah.
just making sure that, all of the colors speak to each other and, know each other. A good example is, on my site, all of the shop now and add to cart buttons are the same color. So if you get used to looking at it on one page, you'll know where to find it on the next page, and the same thing for the font choice is consistent across like the entire site. Even when I'm designing like promotional materials, I make sure they adhere to our brand fonts so people can glance at it and say, oh, yeah, okay, that's Passports and Purpose. I know what they're about. And that's also why I intentionally chose like the blues and the teals and the turquoises, because that's what people think about when they think travel.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, the contrasting colors, let people know that I'm not selling travel. I'm actually selling items. That's why, a lot of our shirts are, black and red. They're, bold colors to let people know, wait a minute, no, this isn't, I'm not selling cruises or whatever, so, just putting thought into.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank
Um,
you for that. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.